Okay, we are recording. Good evening, everybody. My name is Haley Brown, and I am a Student Services Coordinator at the UMA Augusta campus. And I'm very pleased to welcome you all to tonight's event. It's going to be called My Major, My Career, Hacking Your Career. And I'm very excited to introduce Dr. Henry Felch, who is the coordinator of the CIS and cybersecurity programs, as well as Katie Ebert, the Student Services Coordinator at UROC. And we've all been working together to put together this event. So it's been a lot of fun. So on the agenda tonight, we're going to talk about the job search process and some of the different career tracks you can take within CIS and cybersecurity. And then we're also going to be talking about some of the program information about both the CIS and cybersecurity programs and some educational opportunities within cybersecurity. And then we're also going to be hearing from some of our students and alumni within the CIS and cyber programs, and also talking about some resources that you can look at for some career exploration opportunities. And we'll have a last round of questions and a wrap up. Just some housekeeping. I've pinned the group of people that that should be chatting tonight. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I will be monitoring it, as well as I'm sure Katie will as well. And we'll do our best to get those questions answered. And I'll turn it over to Henry.
You're talking about the job search process. That's
I am
next.
too, aren't I? Yes, I am. Just checking to see if you were paying attention. So, and Henry, feel free to jump in on this too, because I think we were kind of both talking about this, but there are, for every job title that's out there, there's probably 20 or 30 different iterations, because every career or every company has their own way of naming their jobs. So for sometimes it could be a network administrator, or it could be a network support specialist, or things like that. And so one of the things that I do recommend going to, and there's going to be a link on the resources slide, is to take a look at ONET. And ONET is an online occupational database that the U.S. Department of Labor has put together. And it's a really handy dandy tool where you can search for things like a server administrator, for example. And what it'll do is, on the page with the results, it'll actually come up with a list of potential career titles or job titles that you can also look for. That way you can kind of get a sense that you may be on the right track for some of the responsibilities. So yeah, that applies to, server administration, to IT, to cybersecurity, really anything. And what we can do too is I can go through some of the career tracks in the upcoming slides, and we can come back to the main market versus the national market, which I think Henry would be able to explain better than I can, and the top employers in Maine. So if we can go to the,
You want to just cover this first, and we'll jump to the other slide, so we're good on it.
Okay, yeah. So we want to talk about that, yeah.
Because I think when you look at this, and I think this is where it becomes important, seeing server administration, IT specialist, you're probably not going to see those titles in Maine. You're not going to see cybersecurity analyst. You're not going to see some of those. You may see something generic. You may see IT specialist or IT support, and understand that those job titles, a lot of businesses have not updated a lot. So they haven't changed what the job title is. It still may say IT support, but you're doing everything in the world because you're the only IT person they have. So you're their cyber specialist, you're their IT specialist, you're your help desk. It's everything. So I think when you look at the main market versus national market, titles in the national market, you're going to find more defined. Okay. The main market's still going to have a lot of difference in what they are. We just had a student hired it for Thomas College IT specialist, right? Yeah. Is that right?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and we had some people interview for a job for the school district, RSU two. It was IT specialist or IT technician. Okay, so I think it's search for anything that says IT or cybersecurity. Very seldom you see the word cybersecurity in many job descriptions right now all over, because lots of places assume it's part of your IT responsibility. Okay. So when you look at Maine market versus national market, if you want to get rich, you're going to go to the national market. That means you're moving out of state and you're moving someplace else. But when you retire, you'll come back to Maine. Just that's the nature of people living in Maine. A lot of people leave, everybody comes back. Me being one. Okay, so your Maine market, you're going to find smaller businesses. Your salary is not going to be like you would see on the ONET. ONET's going to tell you what your national salaries are. No, you're not going to make $80,000 working for a municipality in the state of Maine. Maybe $30,000, $40,000, maybe tops. Okay. It's just the nature of being in the market, but then think of what a great place where you live. Okay. Better than anywhere else in the world. So that's one thing about the national market versus Maine market. You'll find a lot of opportunities. You're going to find more opportunities in southern Maine than you will in central Maine or down here towards down east Maine. It's just, once again, the jobs are there. It's just going to take a little bit of looking for, because every border patrol place has an information security specialist. Okay. Every town has someone that's got to manage IT or cybersecurity. Just about every business somewhere has a thing. Your biggest employer in this area for cyber or whatever might be Camden National Bank up in Rockport. They got a great training area up there. Great cyber center. So just a few things to look for when you're looking on that market here. Just don't be discouraged when you don't see anything that's cybersecurity. Look at anything that says IT and look and see what the job entails. Just because there's some unwritten stuff in there. Like I said, a lot of Maine businesses have not updated their job descriptions or job titles or anything else. Top employers in Maine, they are just about what you think the top one would be. State IoT, Information Office of Technology. Okay, and they have everywhere, people everywhere. So the state is your biggest employer. Camden National Bank, or even all of the banks, have somebody in IT and cybersecurity. Bangor Savings, we have Tyler Technologies. We have a lot of people hired at Tyler Technologies. We have people now hired at Systems Engineering in Portland. Was that Thrive? And we'll talk about Thrive again when we talk about apprenticeships. Unum and WEX in Portland. Once again, more opportunities down there. Now, Jackson Labs has some opportunities there, but they don't really say cybersecurity or IT. You may be a research support, or you may be a data analyst. Okay. But there's a lot that's there, and you really have to look. But in Maine, look to the state. Now, Maine, and what we'll talk about right now. Last week I was on a meeting with the state, and they have hired a national company to come in, and they're talking about apprenticeships in the state of Maine. They got some companies, and we'll get more pushed out on this once we have a meeting tomorrow with the state apprenticeship office. So we'll get pushed out to the centers and to everybody. I have a meeting with the national contractor on Friday to talk about stuff. And we've already talked to Thrive, which is a Florida company that's expanded up into Maine. for IT. They got 10 apprenticeships right now for Portland, for their call center. So let's talk about that first position you get. You may go into a help desk. I mentioned we had some students go apply for a job at RSU too, for their support at their superintendent's office. Neither one of them got it. They got hired from within. So Thrive is doing a year-long apprenticeship. Starting salary is like almost $19 an hour, $18.75, I think. We'll have more information. We'll get out to the centers on it. But it's a year-long thing. You go in, you work on a help desk for IT support, help desk support. But within a year, you're going to get 3 or 4 certifications as part of it. They're going to train you as well as teach you on the job. After a year, they said you could be up to about almost $30,000, $40,000 a year with incentives and everything, working wherever you might want to do. The first year, guess what? You're going to Portland. After that, you can work from home. So you're going to see that a lot in cyber and some IT. You may have to go in someplace for a while to work, or you may have to go in one day to work or a couple days to work, but there's a lot more opportunities to work from home. So, like I say, more to follow on apprenticeships, because there's several already that we'll think, but we'll have more information and we'll be getting it out through Haley, through down here, and through all the centers. Just so you're all aware of it.
All right, let's pause for a second right here. Haley, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this slide, or did you want us to stop screen sharing so you can show some ONET stuff, or are we good?
Well, I actually incorporated some of the project login information on the next few slides. And I think
Okay.
that would probably be better to do for now. And then if we have time, I can definitely show people ONET near the end.
Great. Are there anything in the chat that we want to hit on this slide, or?
No, we were troubleshooting a PowerPoint issue, but we're good now. So.
All right, great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay,
So-
so yes.
Go ahead, Haley, it's all yours.
All right. So I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with Project Login, but Project Login is an organization that is under Educate Maine. And they're a group that is trying to increase the number of IT graduates in the state of Maine. And they have a pretty robust website in terms of career information. And I pulled some of their information from the site about the potential career tracks and in terms of questions that you can ask yourself. So if you're interested in working in IT analysis and security, for example, are you good at solving problems? Are you curious about how computer systems work? Are you good at following directions? So, and just so everybody knows, I will be sending out the slides to this presentation after the workshop. So the links that are on these slides, you'll actually be able to click on, and they all go to, I believe they go to ONET, the ONET links for each of these pages. So those are just some sample job titles. So under the IT analysis and security, you can see, computer systems analyst, information security analyst, or even a computer systems engineer or an architect. And the average pay is about 33 an hour, which is pretty good.
That's on national scale.
Yeah, right. I'd think national average, probably, probably a good thing to mention. But also, you could go into IT support and training. Henry was talking about that earlier. Do you like helping people? Again, are you good at solving problems? So you could look up things such as a computer user support specialist or a network support specialist or software quality assurance. And those folks usually make between 20 to 22 an hour. Again, median wage. So, depending on where you are in Maine versus, New York or California or, things like that. So,
And one thing I'll add to this right here, support and training. Your first job may be on that help desk, okay? But companies usually tend to hire from within. Okay, most companies will hire from within their organization. So if you're there, you get a chance to get paid. $22 an hour is pretty good salary. Beats when I graduated high school. But that is a good start. So if that's the only job that's available and you can get into it, think of upward progression, okay? And I think that's key when you look at a lot of this entry-level jobs. No, you're not gonna be hired as a CEO unless you got 25 years experience in somewhere else as a CEO. Even like you talk about the analyst, some of them analysts will come from where? Their help desk. They'll be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 up into those jobs. And it's sort of that natural progression. So I just want to make you know, be aware that this is usually the starting place for a lot of people where they start. So next slide you want, are you done?
Next slide. Yep, it's just some other career tracks. So there's also areas within administration and networking. So there's some other questions that you can ask yourself. And then also management and strategy. So just taking a look at some of these sample job titles, and again, you may have other sample job titles that come up when you click on those links. And then the last slide is just another couple of sets of areas. So programming and development, and also data science. So there's a variety of different things that you can do within the IT field and cybersecurity and anything like that. So
Yeah, and I will say data science doesn't mean you have to have a degree in data science to do data science. Almost everything you're going to see, data science is like cybersecurity. It is in every discipline. Every business now is starting to hire people that can understand a lot of how do you take data, pull data from certain sources, manipulate it, and make it very well. My daughter works for MMG up in the county as a data scientist. Okay, and for working up in the county makes about that much an hour up there. So that is a good opportunity you're going to see there as well. In cybersecurity, they need data analysts as well. So data science is sort of the new buzz thing to a lot of businesses. They want analysts in there to do a lot of this.
And plug for anybody today, it went around on the higher ed jobs board that they're hiring a data scientist for the Maine Community College system. So somebody will be operating that. And if you're interested in that job, it's up and it's live now if you want.
Cool. All right.
So let's talk about UMA. Everything you see in the catalogs today or up on the boards or on the web is all going to change in 5 months. Now, what does this mean for you? If you're already matriculated as a student, you're in the program you're in. Okay, and you get to keep that check sheet until you want to change check sheets. Okay, so it doesn't affect you except that some courses are no longer available, and I think many encounter it. Some courses we lost instructors for, and they never had anything about what they taught. So, and we've incorporated several different things. So, what's happening in CIS? CIS had a lot of concentrations. The check sheet was a little screwy. He says you take a 380 or a 480 internship. Well, guess what? You can't take the 480 till you do a 380. So sort of fixed a few things there. But in CIS, we dropped 2 concentrations within that degree. The data science concentration, because we have an entire degree with data science. If you want to be in data science, you should be in that degree field, working within within that curriculum. We dropped the information security or cybersecurity option, because guess what? We have a bachelor's in cybersecurity, and that's where you should be. So we were going to add 2 new concentrations this year. We didn't get 1 done because of time constraints, so you may not see that till next January or even fall of 2024, and that's game design. But we're in the process of working on that. But we did add systems administration. Okay. And we changed a lot of, even in the networking, we changed a lot of courses in networking to account for a lot of things. And also in a lot of these, we're adding in, we're following national certification content. So like in systems administration, you will have the opportunity to be certified as a Red Hat Linux field. You'll have the opportunity to be certified in AWS for cloud security. You'll have the ability in the program to get certified in A+ and Security Plus, and a lot of these as we move forward. And we're not just taking something out of a book someone else published, we're using Red Hat's content, Red Hat Labs, AWS Labs, AW and CompTIA Labs and everything else. So those will be the same content. Now, we're not giving you the voucher to test, but if it's CompTIA or Red Hat, we, through the cybersecurity department, can get you reduced rate vouchers to test. And in about a year from now, we will have our own testing facility at UMA once we get moved over in the old Purdue building. So those are changes in the CIS BS degree. Cybersecurity, once again, a major overhaul on a lot of stuff. Just updating some of the courses here and there, eliminating courses that we had no thing for, and everyone dreaded the competitions one we put in several years ago. I'm tired of doing a lot of substitutions. It was a great concept when we proposed it. It is something that's still there for electives. Okay. So those are two new check sheets in those. The associate degree in CIS didn't change much at all. There will be a brand new associate's degree in cybersecurity starting this fall. So I gotta go through curriculum, but it'll get there. Then we also have the concept of credit for prior learning. We're seeing a lot of students come in that already have certifications. And since we are aligning a lot of our content around them certifications, we haven't got it so it's a direct thing. It's where you have to go through Haley to do a portfolio, and you just slap that certificate in there, says I have Security Plus, and I want to get credit for ISS 210. And guess what? You're going to pay $150 to get credit for ISS 210. If you've got A+, you're going to get credit for CIS 220. Okay. So likewise, if you have Network Plus, there's CIS 240. Okay. And those are some certifications as CIS and cyber you want to have under your belt as you go into the job market. Course sequencing, and also for prior learning. If you've done some stuff on the job and it looks like it matched, reach out to Haley or to your centers, and they'll link you up with Haley to do a portfolio. Just think, and they'll provide you what the course charter says. Now, one thing we did do, the course charters that are available on our site, on the system, and everywhere, we finally got them all to say the same thing. So that's one thing we fixed everywhere. Okay, but if you've got some prior learning, reach out to Haley and see if it might be a lot easier to apply for it. Likewise, if you transfer in some stuff from another school and sometimes it doesn't come in correct, reach out to advising and we'll take a look at it and see, yeah, now okay, yeah, this will fit right here. Okay. Course sequencing. We also went and reviewed every prerequisite for all the courses this year. We removed a lot of stupid ones. Okay, we tried to make them so that they will flow nicely. And what I still owe for you and for all the centers is typically this is what your progression would be through this degree. Okay. So we just finished up with all the internships. Now we're working on the sequencing. And there'll be something published on the UMA website that'll show you what the prerequisites are, when the course is typically offered. Okay, and this is key in the sequencing to look to see how this might fit into how you plan your degree. Because the goal is to avoid in directed studies. Okay, they're difficult and everything else. So internships, these are hard to come by. A lot of people sign up for the internship program thinking that we're going to provide the internship or find it. We don't. It's up to the student to find the internship. Now, UMA did apply to the system. We may end up with an internship or program that'll help find internships or match up internships. So that's something that's in the process of working right now. The Dean of Applied Sciences, Dean McAleer, is working on that with the system right now through a grant to do some of that.
Can you provide students with a touch point, so if they are interested in doing an internship, they can reach out to you and see what some have been lately for other students and reach out to you for leads or potential ideas?
I would say reach out to Michelle.
Okay.
Anything in cyber and CIS, you gotta reach out to Michelle. I'm old and forgetful.
I'm more resourceful.
And
She's craftier. Watch out.
she
Boots on the
manages
ground.
everything.
I like it. Okay. And you should be able to reach out to folks in your center too. So part of our job as center employees is to be dialed into your local network. So even if we can't, if somebody can't directly connect you with something, we're going to connect you with a person who will be able to talk to you about that. So centers can be a good point of contact to start that discussion too.
And the other thing is, if you find a company you like to work with, go talk to them.
Mhm.
Okay, Jackson Labs does not do internships. But if you go down and talk to them, they may bring you on in sort of an internship in something in an area you may like. So if you see a job area you like to work in, go talk to a company, ask them. Okay,
Here's my next question. Should cyber and CIS internships be paid internships?
they should be paid. But sometimes they're not. And this is one thing we're working on that Brenda's and Dean McAleer is working with there is lots of times small businesses would like to have an internship, but guess what? They can't afford to pay it. So we're trying to find ways that we can pay it through from some grants and everything and pay the students some money. Because yes, you should get paid to do an internship. Now, if you work in the field and you plan to stay there, we'll say, take another course. Another 300-400 level course, and we'll sub it in for internship. If you cannot find one, we'll do the same thing.
Last question for me. What about my students
got
who
that.
are, for this slide, watch yourself. For my students that might be, going through cyber CIS that are currently incarcerated, are there any opportunities
sub
for
it.
them?
We
Okay.
sub another course. Okay, and there, like I say, there are gonna be times, and this is one thing. And we had the concept renewing is where we thought about making the internships 6 hours instead of 3. The alternative would be take 2 courses rather than find an internship. That may come in the future. Okay, because you have to work 150 hours, and you only take 45 hours of classwork to get a 3-credit course. So still gotta do some work on that one. So the next one on here is research. UMA is not known as a research institution. Through cybersecurity, we have secured several grants. We got a grant from Maine Economic Investment Fund last year, and a grant from MEMA, Maine Emergency Management, to go out and model networks within a community or a business and import it into our cyber range. Okay, Now, what does that mean? Well, we need people in networking, we need people, programmers, we need people that do all aspects. And we pay those student employees as researchers. But guess what? You're going to do a lot of work. You're going to do research and you're going to go out into the business community and talk to employers. So this research we have is student research. It's not run by me. I'm just the one at the top that says I'm in charge or something, but not really. But you will actually go out and do some of that research. You'll do research, you'll work with customers. And guess what? What is a better way of doing something? Right now, we're working with the city of Presque Isle. And I have a team from UMPI working with them along with our research team here. Well, the city of Presque Isle has a managed service provider that manages their IT and manages their network. But we have a cybersecurity student that's helping with them, and he may get a job when he finishes this with that company, because he'll see what he's doing is we model their network. In fact, he already found a malicious link on their website today. So this research we have is to go out into the community, work with different companies and try to model their network. So we have City of Bath,
Greater Augusta Utility District.
Greater Augusta Utility District, Piscataquis County, indirectly Penobscot County, because they manage Piscataquis County, and the City of Brewer, City of Presque Isle. And we have two major companies we'll start with later on, LL Bean and Kennebec Savings Bank.
We're reaching out to City of Ellsworth too.
And we've been reaching out, we talked to the city of Ellsworth and everything else through them as well. So we keep reaching out. So if I have to have people in Ellsworth or people down here in Rockland or someplace, where am I going to find my researchers? We'll try to find people that are within the area. Okay. And we just got a congressional earmark approved for $500,000 to continue this and to work on workforce development. And part of this is a workforce development research. How do we train a lot of people to understand cybersecurity and even IT to be able to avoid all your taxpayer dollars paying ransomware? Okay. Security, we have a master's degree. We're going, this is about, I think, it's that third year we did this. It's 10 courses. We now have an accelerated program. What does that mean? That means you can take, you have to be in the program, and this program will be available this fall. If you are a junior, 60 credits within CIS or cyber, or Bachelor of Applied Science. Others will take a look at to see what you have the background. But it means you can apply to be in this accelerated program, and you can take 5 master level courses while you're an undergraduate, and they will count towards your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. Now, how many courses did I say was in the master's degree? 10. So what's that mean? That means that you would have half a master's degree done when you finish your bachelor's degree. How many people think a master's degree is difficult? And why do you think it's difficult?
A lot of work and a lot of time.
Michelle, say something about the master's degree. What's your background?
Not cyber. I'm 4 or 5 classes in, and it's good. It's the workload.
It varies.
It varies. It depends on the course. It depends on the instructor. But at the master's level, it's mostly research. You have your discussion questions and assignments, and if they do have a quiz, like this semester, I do have quizzes. Maybe like 30 questions to a quiz. But you're doing the topics they're trying to get you to apply, it's like policies, programs. It's not the technical aspect of it. It's more of the management and running a cyber program as a whole. Even for the research aspect for your capstone or thesis, no matter what your background is, like we had a student come in this morning from architecture that wants to do the master. So we want to tie those two together. So whatever you had graduated in, we can work with that because cybersecurity is in everywhere.
What do you think, or what would you guess is like the average cost of a master's degree?
Oh,
So an average cost somewhere other than here is gonna cost you 25 to 30,000. At least
So within your program, you're basically getting half
11,000.
of that for free.
11,000 here. For the whole master's degree, if you take it as a grad student, it'll be about 11,000 and some fees, okay? If you take master level courses while you're an undergrad, you pay undergrad rates.
mhm.
It counts 2 places. Okay? So think about that. Because when you leave and there's 25 people applying for a job, and they all have bachelor's degrees, but you have a master's, who do you think stands out? And I understand that how many people here are taking more than 5 years to get their bachelor's degree? Yeah, took me 14 years to get my bachelor's degree in the Army. Okay, and we'll talk about this as we get down here to a few things. But think about this accelerated program. It is a head start. And it gets you, you can use your financial aid, your Pell Grants and everything else while you're in under 5 classes. Traditionally, it's normally only 3. But the TEM program got theirs minute to 4. And we partner with USM on our master's degree, forced partnership. They created theirs a year ago and they allowed 5. So because they have 5, I got 5. But I think it's a big plus here. And I think it's something to continue on with because it is it sort of changes your perspective later on. It is non-technical. It's designed for anyone, even if you have a degree in music, to be successful in that master's degree. Okay. Certificates. Every certificate we used to have got changed again too. And we got some copies down there. But the big one we want to talk about is the cyber ops one. The cyber ops one is one we're using towards workforce development. There's 13 courses in it, and it only has cyber related courses and it has about 4 or 5 certifications you come along with, as well as extensive use on our cyber range. I've heard to mention that the CI and the cyber program. What makes our cyber program better than anything else in the Northeast? Our cyber range. It is the most advanced simulation network you'll find north of Boston. In an educational institution in the Northeast, in New England. Okay, every student we've had that's been on that range has been hired before they graduate into security analyst positions. And it allows you to understand and manage and mitigate attacks. So you understand what they look like before you see it in real on your corporate network, which is what you don't really want. So that is a lot of what happens in a lot of that. There's a lot of hands-on in the cyber. We've redone a lot of the labs and everything else. And so cyber operations is sort of the specialty we're working towards and working towards on workforce development as well. Certificates. The CIS and cyber programs has been designed so that when you graduate with a bachelor's degree, you should have that bachelor's degree. You should also have that associate's degree because you met all those requirements along the way. Now, it doesn't mean you have to enroll in the associate's degree. If you're in a bachelor's degree and you look at what's on the degree requirements for associate, you say, hey, I meet all those. I want to apply for my associate's degree. Guess what? You get it. And then you just continue working on your bachelor's. Just like the certificates, take a look at them. Every one of those focus areas or concentrations is a certificate. So it means when you graduate, you should have at least an associate's, a bachelor's, and at least one certificate, if not several others. Because several will cross several different areas. Every one of those certificates, associate's degrees, or whatever, count as a credential on your resume. Okay? That is a helpful thing. What if you're applying for a job before you get your bachelor's degree? Well, I have the certificate in cyber ops. I did it. I have the certificate in cybersecurity. A little bit different, but I bet you 50% of the courses are the same. And I got an associate's degree. Well, that's better than somebody with no degree. Okay. I always say, if you look at home on the wall, I have my diplomas on. The highest degree is not my doctorate, it's my associate's. Because that is the one that got me going and kept me going in education. And it's a chance for a lot of people who come in that are working, that can only work half-time. Because it gives you something along the way to say you did it. You have a credential, an educational credential. Now, it's not going to get you the highest paying job, but it's something. The certificates alone are not going to get you that highest paying job, but they're a credential you can put while you're working towards that bachelor's or that master's. Michelle?
Haley, I'm not sure if you were gonna mention this, but I wanted to chime in. The CyberSeek website is a
I'll go into
great
it.
site to show the different jobs, like it does
Yeah.
the national, but it does like just Maine. So whatever state, somebody's chiming in from. But it shows the certifications that employers are looking for, and it just, all the data of what's going on, is called like the heat map. But then there's also the career pathways, but that is an excellent site that I send a lot of students to start the conversation, whether it's job seeking or internships. A lot of it is narrowing down what industry you actually want to support as well.
Wait,
So I didn't know if you were gonna give a shout out to CyberSeek.
you said is it cyber feed, FEED?
Seek, SEEK.
Oh, okay.
So
The-
let's talk about, we talked about credentials, let's talk about certifications. A lot of employers look towards industry certifications. Why? Because it means you improve proficiency in a topic. Okay, those are great. They're entry-level ones you should have. If you're going into security, you better have a security plus. If you get a federal job, you have to get it within 6 months of being hired, or what? You're looking for a job again. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we've started to build these into our curriculum. So when you take the courses, you get it. If you need to get a testing voucher, contact us. We'll direct you how you get one at half price. Okay. If you need some material to study from, we can direct you to where you can get that at a very cheap price as well to study for some of these, to include practice exams. We are partners with CompTIA, EC Council, Red Hat, AWS, and what's our virtualization? VMware,
Oh, yeah, VMware.
and a few others. Plus, if you take forensics courses, our instructor is going to get you certifications anyway. She
3 different.
Axiom, Paraben, and
FTK.
FTK. Okay, so those certifications, once again, you can put them in your name block. Security Plus, Network Plus, and everything else, it just makes you, it sort of verifies that you understand a lot of this. Now, a lot of these certifications now are also have a hands-on component. It isn't just knowledge. And you have to retake it every 3 years unless you do some continuing education. So.
Henry,
So
we
the
have a
next
couple
slide
questions.
says- Yes.
We have a couple questions. So actually 3 questions. As a suggestion, from one of the students said, it would be good to have internships for the cyber ops certificate program. Most internships are for students in those in the bachelor programs only. So just as a suggestion.
Yeah,
And
working
then,
on internships. It's not an easy thing to do.
no, it's definitely not. And then we had another question, while talking about certificates, does UMA offer a resource or where do you go to test and receive, say, a Security Plus certification?
So right now, you can actually do those certifications CompTIA online. Since the pandemic, we learned to do a lot of things online. They have a way that locks down your computer and everything else and verifies it's you with a picture all the time to do it. But nursing and cyber is moving over to the old Purdue Global building. We will actually have room and we're going to get certified as a Pearson test site once we get over there. So that means we can do it. Once again, reach out to us. We talk to CompTIA, we talk to EC Council, we talk to a lot of people. Okay, so right now, if you have to take it in person, it's Portland, and I think Waterville had one at KVCC. I don't know if they still have it or not, but I think it's only for their students.
Okay. All right, and then the last
Yeah,
question.
that
Oh,
With
go ahead.
KBC's connection to our local folk, we could possibly bring it down here to Rock.
No, because you have to have a certified, yes, well, the area, they have specified, you have to have cameras, you have to have this, and somebody monitoring the whole time.
We already have some of that installed for nursing
Right,
because they're also on video in our computer lab, so something to look into.
when we get, we'll talk to CompTIA and see what we can do.
So we- and then another question was VMware Pro is not offered to UMA students yet we are partners with them? Question mark?
It's one of those work in progress and the struggles with IT in the system. And yes, we're working so you can have VMware Pro and everything else. It's just the license right now is just to the cybersecurity department. And we should be able to have it, but we're working to make all those licenses work. Okay, we weren't a partner, an education partner with VMware till just recently.
Gotcha. All right, and then the last question, I think for now, earlier they discussed changing some courses like prerequisites. Will that affect current bachelor's programs?
If the course prerequisites have changed and the course is still there, you may need to take those prerequisites. Now, every curriculum change, every certificate, we have to go through and make sure all the prerequisites were met within that certificate and within that degree. And that's why we changed a whole lot, because if you look at some data science ones, it has 3 different ones, this or that, or 3 of this and 5 of that. Okay, so we went through it. Is that really necessary to have all those? And no, it isn't, so we changed some of them. So this next one is Student Alumni Day in the Life. So did you just want to have a student talk about their experience here and how they get into cyber or CIS? Well, I'd like to introduce you to Sarah. Raise your hand, Sarah.
I don't know if they can see me. That's my Sarah.
Sarah,
I'm currently enrolled in the cyber program. I'm going for my bachelor's. Does that like give you a minute or?
No, the camera will zoom in on you as long as you're active and
Oh, so I
Talking
should just
head.
say.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should wave your hands and talk and then.
Yeah, okay. So currently I'm enrolled in the cyber program. There you go. And originally I was a biology major, and I went to high school at Coney, and I had Henry as a professor. And I took some of those classes because they were like early college classes, so I got credit. And I just found I had a lot of enjoyment while taking cyber courses, and I decided that, hey, instead of doing biology, I want to focus more on computers and getting my bachelor's in cyber. So I really like it. Currently, I'm a student researcher, and I use like the cyber range like on a weekly basis, and I really enjoy it.
So are you not the trainer for our cyber range? It's
Yes, I am I'm an operator for the range, and so currently we're working with like Paths, like Portland Area Technical High School. And then we're also working with at Coney, there's a CATC program, which is Capital Area Technical Center. And we have the students go on the range and they get that hands-on experience in a sandbox environment.
and also at Hancock
Yeah,
County.
Hancock.
County Technical Center as well. So the students in that program out there, those technical centers get range time and learn about range operations and cyber defense.
Mhm.
So Sarah is one of those that she works for the cyber department now as an operator, training other students and training other operators on the thing. Michelle is the director of the cyber program coordinator, whatever, and she's in the master's degree, and she mentioned that a little bit earlier as to what there are. So there is a lot of opportunities, and my goal was always to convert everyone to the dark side of cyber. If you're not when you start, you will be when you finish.
So I think the one thing that I would want to say is any student wanting to go above and beyond just taking courses, to reach out to me to see what can we work out for an arrangement or a placement or whatever it may be to get you actual hands-on experience. That's our main goal, especially with having the main cyber range. It's we want you to apply everything you're learning. So whatever that may be for you, it's different. Right now we have about 10 students. Different levels. He mentioned we have students up at Presque Isle. One of them, she's a freshman, computer science, and she's on the Presque Isle project.
And she's the team lead.
And we put her as the team lead. She understood that there was no expectations other than continue learning. And now, as you're learning this, apply it. And she's gonna learn above and beyond. So when she gets to those courses, she'll already know some of this stuff and know how to apply it. So there are options out there. I just need to hear from the students and just, it's a case by case.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this field and in the first place?
Well, I had already been working, I've been at the university since 2011. I had started in the Dean of Students office. My bachelor's is actually interactive media and web design. So I literally have like no cyber, but I know that cyber is in everything and it affects everyday life every time you pick up your phone, your laptop. So it's just for me, it's supporting higher education. That's what I'm going to do with my master's, and I want to improve this program and I want to make it better for the students going out there for these, main industries and organizations. But yeah, it's an important topic. It's critical.
In a lot, we talked about the research, and our student team this summer presented at the Maine Emergency Management Conference. The students did all the research. I made all the students talk about it as well.
One thing about that is everyone here, whether you're cyber CIS, if you are working with me, I push soft skills. You all have to have soft skills. It's not the tech skills. It's communicating. It's even on the range, it's working as a team, problem solving, but it's showing all your skills, not just, oh, I know how to program or write code.
And we had a lot of students, and we also work with our students about their employment and afterwards, and we try to help with what they need. It's like when you go to apply for a job, you just don't apply and show up for a thing. You better know something about the company, done some research. And when you leave that that job interview, the first thing you should be doing is what? Sending an email to them, thanking them for the interview. If not, you're never gonna get a call back, even if you're the best candidate in the world. And as Michelle mentioned, it's the soft skills. When we first got the cyber range, if you weren't working together as a team, we weren't solving anything. And our cyber engineer, Pierre, he went in and solved it in 30 minutes and didn't tell anybody. And it's just one of those skills we learn that we make people understand. You have to communicate. It's the written skills and it's the oral skills. And it's the working together as a team. Because cybersecurity is not an individual sport. Okay, and neither is IT. It's going to take a lot of everyone working together to make an organization run. And I think that's what we're trying to do with a lot of this. Is how do we make everything here a lot better? And that's why I think, look at the new check sheets. If you want to change to them, change to them. Take a look at the certificates. If you're not enrolled in them, you apply for them now. You have to do the same thing. And minors are no longer 6 courses, they're 8 courses. Because I have to include prerequisites. But if you're not, now, if you're in CIS, you can't minor in cyber. And likewise, you can't minor in them because 50% of the courses are in your degree program. But I think that what we have for CIS and cyber, and our research is not just cyber. We have CIS students in there, computer science students. Okay, because they have skills, cybersecurity people are not great programmers. Now, I will say, we had one of our students write a ransomware attack for our research summer. A real believable one, too. So, and then she was doing some programming. Questions? Oh, the next is the research page, and this is on there, and also now we're up to questions. Did I finish on time?
By
Like-
some miracle, you did.
Hi, Professor Mark Grimshaw here. How you doing this evening?
Good.
Good.
Sorry I was late. I was working. I do have a question. I'm in your bachelor program for cybersecurity. I'm just doing a general focus right now. If I want to switch it to another category in my bachelor's program, is that easy to do?
Yep, just contact advising.
Okay,
Tell them what you want to do, and then that'll thing now to see how it will affect what you have done already. Have them do what's called a what if report. It'll
What
show
if?
you, okay, if I change, this is what's going to happen. Just like if you're in CIS and you say, man, I really like cyber now. What if I change my degree?
Haley, are there any questions in the chat you want us to address?
No.
Oh, we got a hand raised.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy, come on in.
This is probably a question for advising, but I figure it's worth asking. I went to sign up for some classes today that are supposed to be offered in the fall. They were not available this year. Are there some classes that are getting dropped from the CIS or cyber programs that I'm going to have to rethink how I graduate? I'm a
Such
little,
as what courses?
I've got 301, or these are ISS courses. 301 is cybersecurity competitions. Obviously, that's that's available, but I couldn't find System Forensics 1.
System
Which is-
Forensics 1, ISS 332 no longer exists. We haven't taught it in 3 years.
It was on my something
I
I
know,
need.
it's an old check sheet.
All right.
So all we'll do is just substitute another course for it.
Okay. I'll talk to my advisor tomorrow. So Thanks for-
And just like the 301, you can substitute another course for that as well.
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Feel free to raise your hand or put your question in the chat.
Oh, that was, you said raise your hand, so I raised my hand.
Dad jokes a little bit.
Right.
Need to see if follow directions. Important.
Oh. What are you doing now? 21 more messages.
What about forensics concentrations? That's when it's in the chat.
Okay, what about them? What do you want to know about them? The forensics concentration changed a little bit. We dropped 2 courses and we added several others to it. So a lot of those focus areas have changed a little bit. And if you're in a different check sheet and that course is no longer available, contact advising, we'll reach out and we'll substitute another course for it. Okay. It's just like in the networking option, a lot of those courses are, we've been substituting a lot of them for several semesters now as well.
Yep.
There's one reason for the update.
I have one thing we can add in. So with the summer semester coming, we've done this for a couple years. Actually, while we launched the main cyber range in 2019, right before COVID had hit. But we have students that, such as Sarah, that are working on it's the CyberBit range. So if you look that up, it's the CyberBit range. And we have students on there and they're practicing to be range operators. So we invite students to just come in and participate. So if you're curious about the range and want to see it in action, then just send me an email and let me know that when we offer some time slots, then I can ask you to join.
All right, we have a question about whether or not you can do the Cyber Accelerated program with a post-bac. I think that particular question we'd have to get some information on, because I know with some of the other accelerated programs, you can use the classes as electives, but I know with the post-bacs, they're very specific in the courses that you need. So that would be something that would have to be on an individual basis if we can do it. So I can definitely get back to you on that. You're welcome. Anybody else? Let's see. Well, we could go back to the PowerPoint slide with the resources, and I can kind of go through what resources are there. If folks are interested. Awesome. Thank you, Kay.
Can you see what I have going on?
Yes, but we can just see the questions slide. So it'd be the one okay, yeah, so the one before.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So here are a set of links. The Career Connections page, the shameless plug for the Career Connections program. It's a really good resource for anything having to do with the job search and career exploration. I also put together a Google Drive folder of some different job search resources, such as resume writing, cover letter writing, internships, interviewing, all that fun stuff. And then I also included Project Login, their page, and exploring computer science careers. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't. All right. I updated the slides as we were talking. So what I'll do, and I included the CyberSeek website in there. So once I resend the recording of this webinar, I'll resend the PowerPoint slides, so you'll get an updated copy. And then the last thing is just ONET. Like I said, it's the online occupational encyclopedia. Lots of great information, not only for job titles, but typical tasks, salary information, hiring information. The U.S. Department of Labor does a survey every 10 years to see whether or not a job is going to be really sought out for the next 10 years, and things like that. So there's a lot of good information.
And Haley's shameless plug for the Career Connections is not actually shameless at all. It's fantastic. So if you are nearing graduation, like meaning it's coming up for you sometime in the next year, you should be in the webinars and workshops that she hosts on writing resumes, writing cover letters. There's interviewing, like it will record you and then play it back to you, so you can see all weird things that you do, like your ums and ahs. Or if you're Henry and you're constantly making the hands, right? It'll give you that kind of feedback so that you're prepared heading into that interview. And Haley is also available for you on an appointment basis. So you can schedule an appointment with her, and this applies to anybody looking for any kind of a job.
Yep.
So just, keep that in mind that she's available to you, and that resource is completely free of cost. So please be
Yeah.
utilizing that, and please be preparing as you kind of exit school and enter the workforce. Be ready for what's kind of coming your way.
The average job search takes about 6 to 9 months on average, so be ready.
I do have to say, kind of piggying off Michelle, what she said, with soft skills. I started here and I ended up getting a job through UMA, working 20 hours a week, and now I'm full-time there, not doing any college work at this point in time, but small kids, whatever. Anyway, one of the things that has given me a jump up in my career is that I took a professional writing class. It has helped me a lot. I can explain things to people in ways that my boss can't. And it's also been able to provide me a lot of just communication in a very directed, professional level, that I can communicate to the common people as well as the language of the IT. So I would highly recommend working on your soft skills, working on your communication skills. Take that professional writing course. If it doesn't help you with IT, it'll help you in so many other ways.
But I agree, it's bringing that professional level. Cause you think, oh, I'm a chatterbox, I talk to people all the time. Yes, no, it's the finesse of your approach, your demeanor and just everything. I have students that I pick apart constructively, pick apart some of their little quirks that they may have. I have someone that, like, they were always saying, sorry. Stop apologizing for, I mean, you have a question, you have a question, leave it at that. Don't be sorry for asking that question or sorry about everything you say. So it's every time they say it, I bring it to their attention. Till they realize, wow, I said what? But it's just, yeah, like you said, always like touching something, or it's just how you come across.
Yeah, it really can make the difference between if somebody comes back to you or not, which is what you're paid for.
Especially if you wrote it on your resume. The person who just got one of the jobs, I asked him for every line that he put, well, why did you say that you're a good communicator? Why did you say this? Technical skills. And I wanted him to have that example of how can you show them that this is why I labeled myself as that. So if they do, I mean, that's the whole point, is they're calling you out on your resume. So why would you add something that just because it was in the job description? It's like, no, it doesn't have to have everything.
And also when you go to apply, when you go in for an interview, you can pretty much expect now to have a technical interview along with a HR interview. Because a lot of times you're gonna meet the HR people with some people, a group of people. Then if they like you, you're coming back, you're gonna do a technical side. So if you say you can do it, you better be able to do it.
But if they ask for strengths and weaknesses, don't be afraid to have weaknesses. Everybody has them. For the same student, his last part of his reference anyway was not his communications, but it was the confidence in communicating. That's what he's been building upon. So putting him in front of having to do these sessions with Maine Emergency Management. He did, let's see, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency. He presented in front of them. It's just making him uncomfortable, so he just kind of gets through it and improves every time. So now he has more confidence.
And if you're somebody who's not sure how to get going on that communications boat, there are 2 classes that I would recommend. One is interpersonal communication, so you start building that one-on-one. That's a fantastic course. And then another one that I also like is communication in groups and organizations, because part of it is going to be when you're working one-on-one, but the other piece of it is how do you fit into that larger umbrella and that larger structure of that organization that you're working for. And so those can be great resources if you're just looking to kind of get started in building those skills and then grow into something where you're able to say with confidence, this is something that's been a challenge for me. Here's how I stepped up to meet that challenge. I started with coursework to become more comfortable in it. And then I continued on by doing research and presenting that research in large groups and organizations. And now I'm much more comfortable in my ability to be able to do that.
And that's one thing we stress with this research, and I mentioned earlier. I had 6, 7 students stood up and presented to the emergency management conference. How was that, Sarah, the first time?
I was very nervous.
And everyone is going to be nervous, but how do you feel about it now?
Better, because I've had more experience, but
And one of our student employees, she came to us 3 years ago when the cyber range and just wanted to sit in the corner and work. And she's now, can't stop her talking.
Now she's built that leadership.
So it's like a lot of stuff. Communication is the real key to it, and we try to do that in our courses, at least with our research project. So as I tell a lot of students, it's not about me or anything else. It's about the students, and everything we do is about the students and highlighting the students and what they do. I already got a job.
So I think before we jump over to the chat and before I stop sharing the screen for any last minute questions, please know, in addition to this recording, you'll be receiving electronic handouts that can help you for accessing these sites, and you'll get the PowerPoint as well. So all that information will be shared by virtue of you having signed up for this. If you did not sign up for this and you somehow were able to just jump on, please make sure that you get a hold of our contact information, which is right here, and that you reach out to one of us so that we can get you the information at the end. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and then we'll take a look at the chat and see if there are any last minute questions that folks would like to have addressed.
And in the new version of the PowerPoint slides that I am sending, I'm going to be sending along, Michelle's contact information will be on it as well. So
That's good, better than
Yeah.
mine.
I'm more likely to get back to you before he does.
All right, so picking up, if I'm planning on completing my internship next summer for a bachelor's in CIS, when should I have my resume completed and available? And then what are some resources for helping to craft a good resume?
do you want me to tackle that one?
Heck yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
that's all you.
So, in terms of having your resume, I would say first have it done as soon as possible, because the shelf life of a resume is about 6 months. So even if you get it done now, you may develop new skills, you may have new experiences by the time you actually need to submit your resume for an internship. I would say a lot of employers are starting to hire people for the next summer in the fall. That tends to be the most popular time. But you always keep your eyes open. Sometimes they could be having applications open up to a year ahead of time. Depending on if it's like Tyler Technologies, for example, or Athena Health, or some of these other organizations. I'm happy to help you if you would like to have somebody look at your resume. I enjoy helping people with their resumes. I did put a link in the chat to the direct link to the job search resources, although on the slide that you're going to be receiving, you can get there from the Career Connections page as well. So.
And on the Career Connections page, you already have linked resources for creating a resume, correct?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, there's a resume
wanna say-
roadmap in there and all that fun stuff.
I want to say one thing about internships real quick. Sometimes internships do not line up with semesters. If you find an internship that starts in August or July, reach out to us. We'll say, start the internship, sign up for the course in the fall, keep the notes. Okay? Because lots of times you may not find that perfect fit and we do not want you to miss it and everything else.
Right.
Okay, so if you do find one, reach out to us, reach out to Michelle, myself, we'll make a note of it. We'll say, start it and keep notes. And then when the course opens up in the fall, fill it out to where it was. You may finish before we get done, but we'll handle the grade part of it and everything else. The only way you can fail an internship is don't do anything, turn anything in. So you actually fail it.
All right, are there any lingering questions? Feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat. We'll give you a few seconds there.
Looks like Joe has a question.
Hey, yeah, I have a question real quick. You mentioned the 5 courses that count as the bachelor's program and the master's program. Are those 5 courses listed anywhere?
We'll take a look at where, we'll try to put them into electives. And we'll even substitute some other courses in the degree program. And there's not, you get to choose from 8 courses really.
Okay,
You can pick 5 out of those 8. That are
I don't believe
required.
it's posted yet, though.
No, it's not posted yet. They still has to go through curriculum approval, but I guarantee you that's gonna happen.
So
And
maybe-
it's,
So,
expecting
So-
that in the next few months or so, or?
I expect it within the next couple of months and we'll get it pushed out there to what it is. I'm leaving you some of what the applications are for it as well, and we'll try to get some of it done. Like I said, everything you see out there for check sheets and everything else is pretty much all wrong now. We made a whole lot, but we just got this pushed through, clarified it last week about having 5 courses. So that CITCO goes for the curriculum committee on the middle of the month. That means the provost will sign off it by the end of the month and I'll force them to get it into by fall, because it is. We have one of the largest growing master's degree programs in the main system. And the reason is because it's the students are in the bachelor's degree continuing on into a master's.
so if a student is interested in pursuing this master's, should they be contacting both their professional and faculty advisor, asking about the specific classes that they can take advantage of?
The
Or
class,
just you?
the classes are, just look at the master's degree. Those are there's 10 classes. The intern or the capstone and thesis can't be done, but the other 8 courses can. Okay. And just reach out to us. There's some you'll have to take initially, like the 501 is one you're gonna need to take before you take a lot of the others.
Oh, sorry.
So it's just a matter of just reach out and then if you don't see anything out there, but we'll get it pushed out. And I think
Excellent.
it is important, but I think this is gonna be key to a lot of people. Rather you go on and get a master's or not, if you can knock half of that out, what's 5 more classes? That's, oh yeah, in a master's degree, 2 classes are full-time. Once you get to graduate level. So you got 5 left, it's 2.5 semesters.
All right, any other lingering questions?
I don't think so.
Going once, going twice, all right. I want to make sure that we thank Michelle and Sarah and Haley and Henry for their time tonight and for their excellent career in CIS and cybersecurity expertise. And thank you for your time, and everybody else. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Was a hand
Good
up
luck
for
with your
another.
finals.
Just the residual.
That was a praise thing.
Oh.
All
Good luck
right.
with the rest of your semester.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Haley, do you need me to stay on or are we good?